what's a critical control? How is it different from other types of controls? It's a question I get asked very often, and let's dive into it to see if we can answer that question. So in terms of the differences here, you can see a critical control, there's two aspects to it. One, it must meet the definitions and requirements of a control, which you can see described here, and I've covered in a different video. And then there are some criticality requirements as well. And there's three different criticality requirements. So one, is it critical to the prevention of a major unwanted event or mitigating its consequences? The second one being, if that control wasn't there, would it have a significant impact on the risk? So if it wasn't there or if it failed. And the third is if this control helps to mitigate the risk for more than one major unwanted event, then it potentially can also be classed as a critical control. And a key distinction here when you're thinking about controls versus critical controls, generally you'll see critical controls mentioned when we're looking at bow ties or talking about material unwanted events or primary unwanted events or PUEs or MUEs. And any controls that aren't classed in that space or don't meet criticality perspective, generally you'll see them classed as controls. So here you can see a bow tie, which I've covered in how to read in a different video. And we're just going to focus on a criticality test here. So you can see we have a cause here is a driver unfit to drive, and the unwanted event is loss of control of the vehicle. And then we have a few different preventative controls here. So the criticality test says, well, which of these controls is critical to preventing the loss of control of vehicle from the driver being unfit to drive? And this organisation can look at this and might say, well, autonomous braking is critical for that chain of events. Whereas we look at car maintenance, even though car maintenance is potentially a good control, in the context of a driver's suitability or fitness to drive, it wouldn't be classed as critical. Then we look at the absence failure test. So if that control wasn't there, or if it was degraded or failed, would it have a significant impact on the risk? So if we look here on this line, we're looking at driver distraction leading to loss of control of vehicle. We have three different preventative controls. And we could look at this and say, well, out of these three, if autonomous braking wasn't actually there, would it have a significant impact on the risk? And this organisation might look at that and say, yes, autonomous braking would appear as a critical control there. And then the third aspect that we talked about is its occurrence test. So is it across multiple unwanted events or hazards? And you can see here highlighted in green, we can see autonomous braking appears across multiple lines of prevention for a loss of control of vehicle. And similarly, on the mitigating control side of things, we can see crumple zones as a mitigating control is appearing across multiple line items. So according to the occurrence test, we could probably class autonomous braking as a critical control and crumple zones also as a critical control. Now, with this information, how do your critical controls stack up against these requirements? Thanks for listening.